welcome to the fresh video cast episode of My Emotions Matter. And today we have a very, very special team member with us, Srija Didi. Behind all the illustrations and behind all the creativity that you see on our social media page, she is the person responsible for all of that. We are very, very blessed to have her, and because she is an amazing person, she's very kind and she is very creative. And during this pandemic, one of the team members that we have all seen flourishing has to be Srijadi, because she has been thriving with her art and with her creation. First of all, on behalf of all our team members, we'd like to applaud Srijadi for all that she does for us. Thank you so much, Srijadi.
I think I'd have to credit my team for all the things that I do. They've encouraged me to do extremely well. They've been helping me. So thank you to my team, first of all, and thank you for having me in today's video.
In case of creating art, like right now inside your home, you're creating art, you're creating beautiful illustrations. So what kind of emotions do you feel when you create art, and how does this make you feel?
When I started making my illustrations, it was with the intention to create an outlet for me to share what's inside my thoughts and what's going inside me and everything. So when I create most of my things, the emotions that I feel very light because I am emptying my brain in a way. So I feel light. The other emotion that I feel very joyful because I try to enjoy the process of creating my art instead of just jumping into the output, I guess. So I try to stay very joyful by enjoying the process. And the other emotion that I feel is I feel connected with the people who view my artwork, and it's a nice feeling that I can connect myself with what they're feeling. So a feeling of connectedness is also something that I feel when I'm creating my artwork.
I think one very important learning that I have from your answer is that rather than jumping into the output, you are a person who enjoys the process. So rather than focusing on what the output would be like while making your digital illustrations, you basically enjoy the process of doing it. And also, your art has been a way for you to express however you feel, and it's also a way for you to feel very connected to other people who watch your art or who find comfort in your art. And as I already stated, that you have been thriving through your art and creation even during this pandemic. So one question that I have is that during this lockdown, because there is very limited physical connection with other human beings, and movement has been reduced drastically. So what motivates you to make your art and your creation? Because in case of many of the artists, they take inspiration from other people or from the things that they see in the environment. So because we are all homebound at this time, what is your source of inspiration for your art at this time?
For me, I think I would really try my best to get inspiration from everyday objects that I can find around me. Whatever I see around me, I use those things to create characters and create stories. Um, I try to create the characters from that. So from the everyday objects, I guess it does not have to be very extreme. We can find characters and stories out of small objects as well. That's one of my inspirations. The other one would be movies and songs and documentaries. I think there are a lot of good movies out there. We have a lot of good songs that we can listen to. The words, the lyrics. We can get a lot out of it. So that's also one of my inspirations. And generally, I try to draw a lot of my content from the conversations I have with people, be it my team members or my friends. I try to extract content from the things that we talk about, little details that we talk about. So I'd say those are the things that help me create my content.
I think one very important learning that I have from your answer is content is everywhere. You just need to have the eyes to look at it. So, given that you've also been like, extracting content from the different resources that are available to you, whether it could be very simple conversations with your friends, with your team members, or it could be from the movies or the songs, or the documentaries that you watch, you are trying to extract content from everywhere. So this just is a proof of the fact that content is everywhere. You just need to have the eyes to look at it. I'm assuming that given that all of us are homebound right now, our social media usage might have increased. In my case, it has definitely increased. It has plummeted from what it used to be. So during this time, because you have a very beautiful Instagram page, random.shrija, I'll also make sure that I link that page in the description box below. So you guys might also want to check that beautiful page out. It's got beautiful, beautiful illustrations, and it will give you a right touch of humor in your lives if you follow that page. So yeah, like right now, I'm sure that many people might go through your page because all of us are using social media so much. Like maybe the visibility of your page and your illustrations might have also increased during this time, and there could be people who might be finding comfort in your digital illustrations, or who might be finding comfort in your art. So how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I think you're true when you say that we are spending a lot of time on social media, and there's so much content out there. Every day we find new things, we find new updates, and it's kind of overwhelming as well at times. In my case, I've also been trying to update my account, my art account with my work from time to time. Although I don't do it every day because I have my own work, I still try to update it. Um, and yeah, there are a lot of people who text me and tell me that I really like what you make. How do you make this? What software do you use? And how do you come up with the ideas? Um, most of them are really appreciative of what I make, and I don't know. It just feels like they connect with. Sometimes they connect with what I create. So when they come forth and tell me all these things, it feels really nice. It feels warm. It feels like I'm not the only one feeling this. When I create something, it feels like maybe I'm the only one feeling this certain way. But when people come and text me and tell me that they find sense some sort of comfort by looking at my artwork, it just makes me feel like, okay, I'm not the only one. Then I'm just a medium to express what I feel, and people are there who are willingly coming forward to connect themselves with what I make. So again, I feel this sense of connectedness, and sometimes it's very overwhelming, and I feel like, why are people making a big deal out of this? I mean, it's nothing. It's just something that I created at the moment. But I guess that's the power of art. It does not have to be very big or very huge. Even a small emotion can spark something really great, and most people can resonate with it as long as it's very authentic and it comes from your heart. Yeah.
I think one beautiful learning that I have from your answer is that sometimes it can get very overwhelming for oneself when one receives a lot of compliments regarding what one does. So that is something that I've also been through. When I receive compliments for any of the writings that I make, I feel overwhelmed, but at the same time it is a very good source for also feeling connected with other people. And in your case also, like when you see that other people are relating or resonating with your art, or other people are finding comfort in your art, it makes you feel like you're not alone. It makes you feel very connected. And at this point of time where all of us are very physically distant, feeling emotionally connected is a very important thing. And I'm so glad to know that you're still being able to emotionally connect yourself with others through the medium of art. So as you already stated that sometimes it can get really overwhelming because of all the content that is out there. So there are two polar opposite views on productivity ever since this pandemic has begun. So some people believe that losing themselves in the process of creating art can be very comforting to deal through this pandemic, whereas there are other set of people who believe that this pandemic should not be a time for productivity contest, and people should not be forced into being productive. because it is a difficult time for many of us. So what are your thoughts on this as an artist, and how do you feel about this?
I think it's fair to say that a lot of people are in a lot of pressure to be productive these days, and I think it's very unhealthy. Number one, um, be, since we're on social media all the time and we see people doing so much on social media, we don't know if it's true or not, but we just see that people are doing things, and it kind of puts a lot of pressure on us and keeps us questioning, am I doing enough, or am I making the best out of my time or not? But it's very unhealthy. I think it's already been 2 months since this lockdown happened. When it started, I also felt the same way. I felt like, oh my god, now I have to make the best out of it. We're all staying home. I have to create something every day. But I think now I've come to realize that it's okay. I mean, we're all going through a lot of pressure and tension in our own lives. Productivity, naturally, I don't think it's something that we need to focus on right now, but it's our survival and how we take care of ourselves. I listened to this podcast where these psychologists were discussing that as human beings, uh, when anything uncertain happens or anything unsafe happens, our first instinct is to go for survival and not productivity. Productivity is on in the least. So our first instinct is to survive and take care of ourselves, manage our food, our family. So we shouldn't really force ourselves into jumping into productivity and then doing things for the sake of doing things. Instead, if we just try to enjoy the process, I guess we naturally feel productive. So for me, I think productivity is the outcome of enjoying the process. Productivity shouldn't be the end result, but it's just a byproduct of enjoying the process and feeling good while you do things. So that's how I've been telling myself to work these days in terms of creating. Of course, I'm also trying my best to practice this every day. It's very easy for me to say, but then to do it by ourselves is difficult. So I'm just trying to create this mindset for myself and reinforcing myself that I should just enjoy the process. Productivity will just come naturally. So that's how I've been seeing this, and I think it's okay. I mean, we're all having a lot of things to go through, so productivity will naturally not fall on our top priority list, and it's completely okay. And we don't have to pressure ourselves to do things just for the sake of doing it. Yeah.
I think one very beautiful learning that I have from your answer is there could be different ways in which you could define productivity itself. So, in your case, rather than defining productivity as the output of doing something, you you consider it to be the output of enjoying the process, the joy that fills your heart after doing something that you really enjoy doing. That is productivity for you. And as you already stated, that when we feel that the environment is unsafe, the environment is insecure, our topmost priority might not be productivity. So, getting into this productivity competition, like where we force ourselves to be productive, is very unhealthy. But if we really genuinely enjoy what we do, then in that case it can be a nice coping mechanism to deal with whatever we are going through right now. So in case of many artists, they might experience creative block sometimes, where even if they want to create something, they might feel like they are running out of ideas, or they're just not able to create new things because of the creative block. So have you also experienced it, and like how do you manage to get through situations where you are experiencing creative block?
It's very common for artists to go through creative block in any field, whether it's writing or it's music or it's creating art, in any form of art. I think people really have to go through creative block in order to come up with something beautiful. I think that it has to be there. I also go through creative block sometimes, and when you when the creative block hits you, the thing that the emotions that you feel is you feel very very blank. There is nothing in your head. You cannot extract ideas out of anything. It's just a literal block. You feel very hopeless, and you just feel like, well, what am I doing now? Am I not supposed to be creating something? You start questioning yourself. In most cases, people also go through imposter syndrome, where they feel like I'm not good enough. That's why I'm not being able to create things. So it's very natural, and I think it has to happen in order to create something nice out of it. So whenever I go through creative block, I just remind myself that this creative block happens once in a while. I went through it and I got over it. So maybe I'll get over this one as well. So that's something that I tell myself. It's okay. I was stuck once before as well, but I got through. So this will also be the same. This will go away. So that's one thing that I try to reinforce myself. It's just a pep talk for myself. So that helps. The next thing is just to take a break sometimes. It's just to sleep it off, I guess. You don't have to just hit on the same idea over and over and over. That also puts a lot of pressure. So you can just sleep on it, take a break, which is totally fine. That's the next thing. And the other thing I try to do is not try to be perfect in any way. Whenever uh, I try to make things in the most perfect way, I always screw it up. So I just need to remind myself it's okay, things don't have to be perfect. You just have to enjoy it. You can just create things that you actually feel, and people will naturally connect to it as long as it's authentic, and as long as it comes from your heart. People will naturally connect to it. So you don't have to make things perfect. I just try to tell these things to myself, and it kind of helps. Most of these things are basically pep talk, positive self-talk to myself, I guess. So these things have been helping me. Not trying to say it helps everybody, they have their own ways, but for me, yeah, these things have been helping with my creative block.
I think one important learning that I have from your answer is not rushing into perfectionism. So, in case of artists as well, sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be perfect. Like I have been through this. So, last time when I was doing my makeup, I was putting so much pressure on myself to look perfect that I ultimately screwed it up. So, I think one very important learning that I have from your answer is that we should not put immense pressure on ourselves to be perfect, and we should enjoy the process of being authentic. That is one important learning. And the second thing is that, in your case, you've considered creative block to be something very natural, so you don't resist it. So you believe that because it is something natural, it is something that you have been through and you have gotten through it, this is something that is going to last for a while and you will get through it. I think that belief and looking at how far you've come is also one very important learning that maybe even our audience can take. So as we can learn from Srijadi as to how she is managing her emotions very productively, if you would also like to take sessions on managing emotions productively, you could reach out to us via our social media page or on our email address as well. Until then, please stay safe, and please stay inside your homes, and please stay protected. So is there anything else that you would like to say on this topic of art and creation, Srijadi, before we wrap up?
I think I would just like to reinforce the fact that um, you can be creative in many ways. There is no hard and fast rule to being creative. You can express yourself in any way. You have no boundaries when it comes to art, and it can be done through any medium that you're comfortable with. Just have to enjoy the process, I guess. If you feel like, you can definitely make things, share it, put it up on social media. Let's use social media for the right reasons. I guess that's what I have to say. If you create something, yeah, do share it with people. Make them smile, make yourself smile, and just enjoy the process. For me, I think that is a reinforcement for myself and something that I'd like to share with the audience.
Thank you so much, Srijadi. I think our audience will also take a lot of important points from whatever you have said today. At least one important point that I am taking for myself after this conversation is not forcing myself to be productive, rather focusing on enjoying the process of work and not the outcome of work. I think that is something beautiful that I've learned from you today, and I hope our audience also learns various things from you. Until then, it's a goodbye, and I hope to see you all next week as well. Bye.